What's going on, everybody? My name is John Poznansky. Welcome to episode 17 of Destination Talk.
And I am Harry. And today, Chop Studios is on the road, and we are at LeGrand Coffee House, located at 10 Green Street in Woodbridge, New Jersey. Thank you to our show sponsor, the Academy in Garwood. To schedule a free class, text them at 908-540-6936. Today's guest is the definition of strength, resilience, and purpose. Eric LeGrand's story began on the football field, a standout athlete whose drive and determination led him to Rutgers University, where he proudly wore the Scarlet Knights jersey. But in 2010, everything changed in a single moment. A devastating spinal cord injury ended his playing career, but sparked a new mission that would inspire millions. Since that life-altering day, Eric has become a symbol of courage, turning adversity into advocacy and pain into power. He is the founder of LeGrand Coffee House, a business built around community and perseverance, and more recently, LeGrand Bourbon, a brand rooted in legacy, impact, and breaking barriers. In this episode, Eric will discuss his journey from football and the fight for recovery to becoming a motivational force and successful entrepreneur. You'll hear about the mindset that carried him through his toughest days and the heart behind the brands that he's building today. This is not just a story about football. It's a story about faith, purpose, and never giving up. Let's dive in. Eric, welcome to Destination Talk. Thank you for having us here today. How are you doing?
That was one hell of an introduction.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. And butter me all up while we get going. That's pretty cool, man. I'm excited to be here, though. It's awesome.
Well, we thank you very much for having us, and we'll jump right in. So, tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, where you went to high school, what got you into the sport of football, and at what point did you realize, hey, I can play this at another level?
This is Woodbridge Township is my home. Born in Woodbridge, raised in Avondale, went to Colonia. My entire family went to Colonia High School between my mom, my aunt, my uncle, my sister, me, my cousin. So it's been quite the journey, I will tell you that. And, playing football, Pop Warner for the Port Reading Saints. It all started actually playing Killer Man with the ball out the side of my house when I was 5 years old. And I got an adrenaline rush being able to score like a touchdown by touching the fence. And my mom always wanted to get me into athletics. And a few kids in the neighborhood were signing up for flag football. And I signed up and found my niche playing football. And I guess I would say the rest is history from there. But
right.
As just a local kid, find his niche in the game of sports.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. So why did you choose to go to Rutgers? What kind of, how'd the recruiting process look when you made that decision to go to be a Scarlet Knight?
It's kind of crazy. I got to play my last 3 games of varsity football for Colonia because our middle linebacker sprained his ankle and was out for 3 games. So I got my opportunity, and I had 45 tackles in 3 games. Mm-hmm. So Coach Joe Susan was recruiting one of our crosstown rivalries at Woodbridge, Shamar Graves, and he was checking out his film. And when he saw his film, he saw me. He goes, "Who's that kid?" And they were like, "He's a freshman." And he came over and they wrote down a handwritten scholarship that said that I'll be at my junior year, official scholarship will be offered. So I got offered a written letter hand note to Rutgers as a freshman. And those were the days where Rutgers was really on the rise, 05, 06, 07 seasons. I remember storming the field there in 06, storming the field again in 07. And I believed in Coach Shiano's mission and keeping guys home and doing it right here in Jersey, and I would live 20 minutes away, as you know.
Yeah.
That's our nice well. We live so close to home. I'm like, why would I take my talents anywhere else and go just be another one at Notre Dame? Just go be another one at Miami. I can try to be the first to do it at Rutgers, and I tell you what, it was the best decision I made in my life.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing as you went to Colonia, ended up going to Rutgers, and that was the reason why I stayed home as well. Mm-hmm. Same exact thing.
It made getting to your wrestling matches a lot more easier for us.
Yeah,
we didn't have to travel very far.
Yeah, all my family can come watch. Same with you.
Eric, you said something that I'd like to touch on real quick. You mentioned, that the scouts or the coaches were there to see someone else, but they saw you. Mm-hmm. So, how important is that to let those kids out there know that you just never know who's watching, when you want to show up?
It really is, and that's I think what coaches really focus on a lot with the kids. That you never know who's watching, so every rep is so important. Every moment that you get, because they weren't there looking for me, but they saw me on the field.
Right.
And that just goes all the way back to the hard work that I put in to get to that moment, that opportunity. Did I know that opportunity was coming? Absolutely not, but it did. And I feel like that's just important for everybody to really take full advantage of every opportunity you get to play whatever sport, if it's football, if it's wrestling, if it's basketball, baseball, because you never know who is watching. And honestly, just sports in general, prepare you for life afterwards.
They do.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned to me the other day about actually it was Mike O'Hara, who's going to be our coming out
Episode, yeah.
next episode, and he said intentionality. You know, play, practice with intentionality, and I thought that was a really nice way to put it.
I guess that's what my coaches were always hard on me, which I always appreciate. I love being able to talk about my Pop Warner coach and then high school coach, Jack Nevins, Coach Jack. He was one of my best friends, Ray Nevins, and John Nevins was his dad. But when I played for Port Reading, I'll never forget they used to make us take a lap. And they said whoever has to, whoever comes in last has to take another one. I used to do it on purpose, just to be spiteful. I would come in last on purpose, and he would rip into us because he knew I wasn't, I was supposed to be coming in last, rip into me. And I'll never forget the game. I was playing fullback, but all I wanted to do was carry the ball and score touchdowns. And he told me if I don't block, I'm never getting the ball. I didn't touch the ball this single game. I was the best player on the team. And I was like, wow, this man, like, he's no joke. Like, he doesn't take any shit. Like, like this is legit. And he just treated me just like everyone else. And then going to high school, get offered as a freshman. Coach LaSalle never treated me any different than every other player that was out there. And I think that's what trained me to realize that I'm no bigger than the team. And everything I have to work for will come my way if I just put that hard work in. And then we get to college, and then everyone's on the same level.
Yeah.
College is a whole new level.
A whole
for
new
sure.
level.
Yeah,
It's definitely
everyone's good.
Everyone's an all-star.
Yeah.
Everyone's an all-star in college.
Going off of that, who were some of your biggest influences during your football career?
Yeah, I mean, I look it up. I always talk about my favorite team. I'm a Jersey guy. People always wonder how I became a Denver Broncos fan, but I was a running back my whole life until I got to college. Watching Terrell Davis with the Denver Broncos back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and with those John Elway teams winning Super Bowls. I was a little kid watching that. I was like, I like him. I'm going to play like him. Then when I got moved to linebacker, my boy Ray Lewis, which is the reason why I got recruited to play middle linebacker at Rutgers, even though I ended up in the trenches down at nose guard. But I picked number 52 because of Ray Lewis, because it's just that intensity, the passion for the game, the love and that leadership that he showed for the game of football. It was something where you watched the highlights back in the day on YouTube or NFL Network. You watched it before a game, the night before a game, gets you all fired up. So those are my biggest influences. I mean, Terrell Davis and Ray Lewis, growing up as a kid watching them.
Yeah.
So in the intro, I touched on that fateful day in 2010. So, can you walk us a little bit through your perspective of how that whole day came about? The incident and then what came after it.
It's always your dream as a kid playing football to play in NFL stadiums. And I have, I was fortunate enough to play in a few. Raymond James Stadium down in Tampa, playing at, it used to be the Heinz Field. I don't even know what it's called now in Pittsburgh.
Well, you should know. You're a Steelers fan.
I forgot the new name that they have on it, but it'll always be Heinz Field to me. But
I think it's letters now, if I'm not mistaken.
Whatever it is. Whoever threw the sponsorship dollars at it. But yes, then MetLife was just opening up at the time. I think it opened up in 2009. So playing there in 2010 was awesome. When we went to our regular routine, stayed down in downtown New Brunswick the night before the game, got on the buses, took them up to the stadium, went through my regular routine out on the field. And then we were in a battle playing against those military teams.
Yeah,
Army,
Navy, right?
Yeah, we were playing Army.
Oh, you playing Army?
We played Army, and I played Navy, too. And I'll tell you what, I remember our coach used to always say to us before meetings, those men are trained to kill you. They can literally kill you. And that's what Coach Shannon used to always say to us before the games. Toe tags and body bags. I'm like, Jesus. So, you're playing. I'm like, you're always on edge playing those types of teams. And I'll tell you, they come at you every single play for 4 quarters long. And we were in a battle with them. It was 17-17 in the fourth quarter. And I had ran down on kickoff so many times before that. But that particular game, I wanted to try to make a big play in that moment. So I was able to split the double team with the 2 guys that came to block me. And I had about a 30-yard head start on Malcolm Brown, the player I made the tackle on. And every football player knows when you tackle, you got to see what you hit. You keep your head up. Well, I thought I was going to use my shoulder on the play because I know it's going to be a big collision. My teammate got down there, a few seconds before I did, half a sec, whatever it was, dove at Malcolm's legs. And when Malcolm got tripped up, body twirled in the air, I put my head down, thinking it was going to go on the side of his body, went right into the back of his shoulder blade and fractured his collarbone from the impact. Wow. And I fractured my C3, C4 vertebrae, and obviously, scariest moment of my life after that.
And did you know in that moment that there was a problem?
I knew something was up. I honestly thought it was I knocked the wind out of myself.
Right.
Because when I couldn't breathe, it's exactly what I felt like. And then I've had a stinger on my shoulder before.
Right.
And your whole shoulder goes numb. I thought I did that to my body. I'm
Right.
I got a full stinger through my body. Thought it was going to come back, but the scariest part was not being able to breathe because you're just like,
Right.
like trying to catch that gasp of air and nothing happening. Trainers coming out, is it your head or your neck? And I'm like, I can't breathe. Can you feel this? Can you feel that? I can't. I'm like, I can't breathe. Then Shiano comes out. He goes, you have to start praying now, all this and that. And I'm just like, my life is over. And at one point, I did close my eyes and I said, God, take me at ease. This is it. And obviously that didn't happen, thank God. And they were carting me off the field. I got to give a shout out to those trainers and EMTs and the staff. They got me off that field in 7 minutes, which I still, I give a big contribution to how well I'm doing today because of how fast they got me off that field.
They got you to help.
It was instant. And from there, it was a whole journey, which I'm sure we'll dive into.
Right.
But just the scariest moment of my life for that 7 minutes on the field.
So you've inspired so many people with your resilience. What keeps you motivated every single day to keep doing what you're doing?
When I got injured, I got put into a life where it was now the real world. And as you know, being in Piscataway, you're just in your little bubble. You play Division I, you have your breakfast every morning, your practice, classes, just rinse and repeat every day. Weight room sessions, just every single day. Like, I thought everything revolved around Rutgers football. When I was at Rutgers, like, there was nothing else going on in the world. After my injury and being at Kessler Institute and after going to Hackensack Medical for 3 weeks, I got to start seeing other people with spinal cord injuries and learning more about their lives and seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly of this injury. Some people will have great support system. Their families rally around them. They're there for them. Then you see people that don't have anybody there for them. People that are by themselves, going through divorce because of this situation. Like, you see some really cruel stuff. And then some people pass away. And it hit me at 20 years old that this was going on. I'm like, wow, like, look at all that's happening. But then you look at my situation, it happened on TV, so people knew what was going on. They wanted to know more about me playing for Rutgers. That I had people reaching out to me around the world with nice letters. I'm like, look at my situation. And you look at the person that's in the room next to you. They have nobody coming to visit them. I got hundreds of people lined out on my door. It put a lot of things into perspective for me and it helped me say, you know what? I'm 20 years old at the time. Whatever time I have left on this earth, I'm trying to make the best of it. Hopefully, God willing, it's a long time, but I won't let this injury define me, and I'm not going to let it change who I am because I saw what other people were going through.
And you kind of touched on the next question, some of the lessons that you learned throughout that experience. So maybe you can add a little bit more to that. But I also know you've worked with the Christopher Reeve Foundation, so maybe you could speak a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
There's the ice machine.
There's the ice machine. We are in a coffee shop, guys, so if you hear things going on, it is the machine. So keeping it real natural here. But yes, the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation reached out to me from the jump, from just any guidance, support, what they were all about, and any time that we needed something, they would be there for me. And it's a funny story. Fast forward to 2012, 2 years after my injury, so many people are reaching out to me asking, how can we help? How can we get involved with you, Eric? And I'm like, Mom, I think it might be time to start a foundation. Like, so many people want to continue to help. Like, what can I do to give back to the paralysis community? And I said, remember those Christopher and Dana Reeve folks? Like, why don't we reach out to that foundation? She goes, absolutely. And then being born in 1990, I said, Mom, who's Christopher and Dana Reeve? And she looked at me and goes, are you kidding me? I'm like, am I supposed to know? And then did my research. She goes, you don't know who Superman is? Flipped out on me, and especially since it's a Jersey guy, Princeton.
Right.
And then I did my research on him, and I was like, wow, probably should know who he is. And a great documentary actually just came out on his life where I didn't realize what a megastar that Christopher Reeve was back in the late 70s. And I know you don't know, John, because you're even younger than me. But back in the day.
I'm slightly older, so I am aware of who he is.
Yeah, it was quite the scene to see how he was, but being able to start my foundation with them, I said this is the perfect, because obviously we all know Christopher Reeve passed away as well as his wife a year later, but now I'm friends with his kids who are amazing people, just amazing, amazing people. And I started my foundation, Team LeGrand of the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, in the fall of 2013, and since then now, we've raised over $3 million for spinal cord injury research, and I want to live his dream, and that's a world of empty wheelchairs. So it's my way of being in the limelight, but being able to give back to the 5.6 million Americans that are dealing with some sort of paralysis, knowing that someone's out there fighting for them, give them
Right.
hope, because this injury can take a lot out of you, not only physically but mentally as well.
So, how do you define success over the years?
My definition of success, it's embedded in my head. I say that at every end of my motivational speeches is what was embedded in my head at Rutgers. It comes from the John Wooden triangle of success, and Coach Yano put it in our heads. And it's the peace of mind you get knowing you did everything you could to be the best you can be. If you know you gave it your all at whatever it was, if it was on the wrestling mat, football practice, now my business life, you're at home with your wife, your kids, husband, whatever it was, you should be able to look in your mirror at night and say, you know what? I gave it my all today. You put your head down on that pillow and sleep at ease. But we're also all human, so not every day is our best day. So God willing, you wake up that next morning, you look yourself in the mirror and say, today I'm going to make it my best day. And you do that over and over and over again. Watch where your life takes you. Watch the people that start to gravitate towards you. Watch the opportunities that start to present themselves. And you'll see it'll really be nothing but blessings. You'll be able to help so many other people as well as yourself along the way.
I think that's well said, and I think that's a very good lead into our next question. We are at your coffee house, so what inspired this? How did we get to LeGrand Coffee?
During the pandemic, literally when the world shut down, people see me with a spinal cord injury, just think that I can't move because I'm paralyzed, but there's a lot of secondary complications that come with paralysis, and one is with my level of injury is my lung deficiency. So if I catch something, it affects me a whole lot more than an able-bodied person. So I had to be extra cautious during the pandemic and staying inside, and I got tired of watching Netflix and Hulu and things of that nature, so I started listening to audiobooks. And I got into Carly Lloyd's audiobook, David Goggins. That man is out of his damn mind.
I've read both
He
his
is
books.
out
He
of
is
his
nuts.
damn mind. I listened to his audio. I'm like, this man likes pain. I know the wrestlers, you guys are different breeds too. But that man, he enjoys suffering. And then I listened to Shoe Dog, Nike, the
Phil Knight
Nike
story. That was a fascinating book.
When I listened, well, I didn't read it. I listened to it. I said, this man created Nike out of nothing. All the lawsuits, and I'll never forget the story when he was at a shoe convention in Chicago, and they had the Nike swoosh sign, but they didn't really know what it meant. They just created it. And some investor came up to him and said, what does the swoosh mean? And Phil Knight said, honestly, he goes, it's the sound when somebody makes running past you. And he goes, holy shit, it worked. And they're like, now think about the billions of dollars they sold off of that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start my whole thing. I did motivational speaking. Everything went away when the pandemic came. So I said, the world's at each other's throats. Everyone hates each other now. What can I do to bring people together? And I was like, well, what do people want and what do they need? Coffee. So I didn't know a thing about coffee. I never had a cup of coffee in my life until August of 2020. But I went on Google, typed in coffee business advisor, find my man Matt Miletto, Bellissimo Coffee Business Advisor out in Portland. Took a course, failed it the first 2 times, finally passed on the 3rd time, and took a leap of faith in January 2021 and launched LeGrand Coffee House online with the idea of building a brick and mortar in my hometown of Woodbridge Township and being able to bring unity to the community with a daily cup of belief. And we're come May 14th, will be 3 years since our door's been open, and our online store has been open for 4 years now.
Well, congratulations on that, sir.
So how did LeGrand Whiskey come about?
LeGrand Whiskey is a funny one. So right around the same time as the coffee idea came up, I reached out to my good friend Brian Axelrod, who's been in this business for 25 years and worked with the likes of Jay-Z and Conor McGregor, but even was working with the Brown Formans back in the day, the Bacardis, as sales reps. So he knows the business inside and out. And obviously, you see all the big payouts that some of these companies are giving to these businesses and different liquor companies. So I reached out and said, Brian, I think I want to start my own spirits brand. And he goes, yeah, you and everybody else. And I was like, damn. So he goes, you know what? Let me sleep on this idea. I'll get back to you tomorrow. He called me up the next day. He goes, you know what? I think we got something here. Your story is unique. It's genuine. It's not going anywhere. This is not a gimmick. You live this life of paralysis every single day. I think we got something here. Let's get the foundation behind it because we want to do something with a purpose and with a mission. And we're not just going to do this as a gimmick. So we said, I'm like, people see me all over the place around the world, around the country, and they see me out having a cocktail, and I get a lot of stares. People looking at me like, is that kid in a wheelchair drinking, that guy? And I'm like, just because I'm in a wheelchair doesn't mean I can't enjoy the finer things in life. And I wanted to kind of end that stigma. And I get it. Some people can't if there are, some medical complications, things like that. But that's not everybody.
Right.
So we landed on bourbon because, one, we both enjoy it. Two, it kind of fits me. It's that tough grittiness that's in every glass. Something you raise a glass after a hard day at work. You come home, pour a glass on the rocks, enjoy it, and it's also takes time and patience to make. You can't make bourbon overnight. It's got to be aged at least 2 years in those new charred oak barrels. So kind of just like my recovery. It's not going to happen overnight. And in March of 2023, we launched Eric LeGrand Kentucky Straight Bourbon.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool. So, as a business owner, what challenges do you face?
Oh, which day do you want to talk about?
I mean, as a business owner myself, I guess let's choose Friday since we're on Friday.
Well, Friday was a good day. I didn't get a call from my manager about something breaking today, so
that's a good.
That was good, but I mean, it's a grind. No point intended, but I love it. Honestly, it's like I'm able to give people around the town employment opportunities. People coming here enjoying the product. Our motto is coffee, comfort, satisfaction. Come here for good coffee. While you're here, you feel comfortable while you're in this space. And when you leave satisfied. Like, wow, that was a really awesome time at LeGrand Coffee House. And just being able to have, something that I can call mine. That was the thing. Call mine from the beginning. But yes, there's struggles just up and down, making sure that you're making payroll every 2 weeks. Believe me, I knew what that's like. I'm like, oh, is there enough money in the account? Do I have to push off this bill? Right. And I got into the coffee game, which I didn't know, at the highest of highs. They told me, like, people that I've talked to, like, in the coffee business, like, this is crazy, the prices. I'm like, well, I don't know any other price. Right. I don't know what it was like when it was cheaper. So everything is, so much higher, and you gotta worry about the cost of goods. Being able to bump people up in their salaries. You want to be able to help them make this an employment opportunity where they can grow into. Then when things go wrong, like the espresso machine needs servicing, got to buy new coffee brewers. I'm out for my birthday it was my 32nd birthday, and my manager just called me, Eric, the refrigerator just broke down. I'm like, not the time. It's not the time. Not now. I'm not going to lie. Donovan's got a few in me, and it's not the time. So like, stuff like that, there's always something that comes up. But like I said, I wouldn't change it. I really enjoy it.
Can you speak a little bit about all the public speaking ventures you've had over the years?
It's really how I was able to start, myself and people, all the time. I don't take any money from the coffee or the whiskey. I pay my bills through motivational speaking. And it started in 2012 because people wanted to hear my story. They wanted to hear more about me and my journey, who I was before my injury, people that were new to my story. The people that knew me, the OGs I call them, they knew who I was, but a lot of people didn't. I got introduced to the world really after I was on the ESPYs in 2012, winning the Jimmy V Perseverance Award and being able to write a book that year and winning the Geisman Awards for Spike TV and stuff like hanging out with Kobe Bryant and Aaron Rodgers. Like, people really started to recognize who I was. So what was I going to do now? So people like, Eric, you probably should start motivational speaking. And I remember I took R.I.P. Mrs. Smith's class back in Colonial High School, her motivational speaking classes. And then in college, I had to take 2 courses for public speaking, I should say. And then also being the leader of a football team and getting a chance to go. So I always had a thing for speaking. But when you do it for a career, I remember when I first started, I was speaking at like Avenel Middle School and the schools around the neighborhood. But I would speak 1,000 miles per hour, and I would tell my story like, and like, wow, that's such an awesome story. But I wish there was some pauses between it. You didn't take a breath the entire time. And I had to learn how to be able to put dramatic pauses in there, being able to interact with the crowd and things like that. And the only thing to do in everything in life, you just do it over and over and over, and reputation after reputation. And I had an agent for the first 2 years of speaking, but I'm proud to say I've been speaking off of word of mouth for over a decade now, and that's been able to take me to some great places, whether if I'm speaking at Avenel Middle School or if I'm speaking all the way to Fortune 500 companies. Everyone needs to hear a story about resilience, adversity, overcoming obstacles, and never giving up.
So as an entrepreneur, what has been the most rewarding part of this journey you've been on?
Just the smiles, honestly, the text messages, the reviews, the people that come out to events to support you. That's what I live for. Like we were just talking how I was down by Philly yesterday, but had 40 people show up to an event just to meet me and buy my bottle of bourbon and drink bourbon with me. Like, I can't take that stuff for granted. Did the ride suck? Yes, of course the ride sucked. But when you get there and you're in that moment, you're like, wow, like look at what you're creating. People want to be around you, and I'm authentic. What you see is what you get with me. I don't put on a front for anybody. So I think people respect that. And it's cool to be around that atmosphere. When people come to the coffee shop, they get all excited to see me. They want to take a picture. Absolutely. I appreciate you coming to support my business. But I get done speaking at a motivational speaker. Someone will come up to me and maybe tell me the issues that they're having in their life, and I'm able to, talk to them a little bit. That's the most rewarding part of this whole thing.
No, it's pretty cool. And it's got to make you feel good knowing that you're putting smiles on people's faces and knowing that it's your product. It's your love that's behind it. That's getting all these people to appreciate this.
Yeah, it's all the hard work being an athlete, John. You put so much into becoming an athlete and that grind and that passion. And for football, you only get 10, 12. If you make it to the NFL, 16, so it's now 17.
Right.
Opportunities to play the game, but all that hard work in the offseason that you put into those moments that you get, in wrestling, it's one-on-one on that mat. So you versus another person. Football, you have obviously 10 other guys with you on the field, but you only get 60 minutes to be able to do that.
Right.
But all that hard work, I had kind of just shifted that energy into my everyday life and looking at it like that through the ups and downs. You're not going to win every day. You try to, but there's going to be rough days. There's going to be tough days. Times you have to figure out overcoming adversity, being responsible for people, being a leader for them, keeping everything flowing. It's not always easy. It's not always fun, but like I said, I wouldn't change it because I enjoy it. And it's just a shifted mindset now from being an athlete to an entrepreneur, but so many similarities.
Yes.
So what advice would you give aspiring entrepreneurs, especially those who are facing challenges?
I always say, weather the storm. Weather the storm. Find a ways to figure it out. It's a tough journey until you go through it and you get knocked out. It's hard to explain that, trying to pick yourself back up, but you always have to remember the reason why you started. A lot of reflection of how far you have come to get there. Because I'm sure in the beginning when we were opening up in the middle of the pandemic, trying to open up, people didn't think that these doors would ever open. And at one point, I probably was like, are we ever going to get done with this? And how much more am I going to have to put in money into this building to get open? Like, what am I setting myself back for how many years now?
Right.
But once you get those doors open, you overcome that, then you see how things are evolving. You're like, you know what? Things may be tough. You're still fighting to stay above water. But look how far we've come. You were able to weather the storm. Why not? It's still going to pass one day. So keep going, keep plugging along, and also don't act like you know everything. Believe me, I'll be the first person to take criticism. And anything I do with my businesses, whether it's speaking, my foundation, there's podcasting, whether if it's the coffee shop, I will always take advice and always listen to people. Well, I always, say that I'm going to do what their opinion is. Maybe not, but I will always listen because I'm not an expert in everything.
Right. So multiple businesses, success. How do you balance that? How do you what's your answer to that?
There's like the mad scientist that has like on a board all these quadratic equations and whatnot, and at the bottom right corner is the solution you're looking at. Like, what the hell am I looking at? It's my life. That's what, like, one day I'm doing this, the next day I'm doing this, and then another day I'm doing this. Every day is different for me. So I can give you an example. Like this week, on a Monday, I was doing a lot of outreach for my golf outing for my foundation, reaching out to businesses for sponsorships, trying to fill the foursomes, sending out emails and things like that. Meanwhile, doing my coffee, ordering stuff, with paying bills, all that stuff. Tuesday, I'm at doing bourbon emails, making bourbon calls to business. People think that it's easy. People just say, no. I'm literally, if you look at my call log, it's all random numbers calling different liquor stores and things like that. Wednesday was at the coffee shop here, doing things here with my employees, hiring somebody new, doing an interview for that. And Thursday, I'm down in Pennsylvania at a bourbon tasting. So every day is different for me, which I love. It's not the same thing every single day, 7 days a week or 5 days a week. So that's kind of just how my life is. I put my efforts toward whatever I got to get done that day. And I surround myself with good people, too, because I know I can't be everywhere at every time. And my staff here, they're amazing. They run the show for me. My name may be on the building, but they're running the show.
Right.
And I got a good team of people that are around me to help me along the way. My online store, the social media team. Shout out to John Archibald, Nicole Gregus. They help me out so much on the outside of things that people don't see. So I got a good team around me.
Yeah, having that support system is huge for success.
I can't do it myself. physically, I literally can't do it. So
Right.
I have to make sure I have to surround myself with people that
It's all
can.
about who you surround yourself with.
It really is.
So what is next for LeGrand Coffee House and LeGrand Whiskey? Any upcoming expansions, projects?
Well,
anything?
we're actually starting to look for maybe some joint venture projects. We're not in the mode where we can franchise yet, and we're not at that point. But some joint ventures, I would love to start expanding the business and getting into other locations throughout the state of New Jersey, and being able to work with people that have the like my mindset. I want to be able to grow this brand and our mission, and be able to spread more of that positivity and belief to the world. So yeah, we're looking for some joint venture partnerships. We'll see. Got some potential things lined up. I don't want to obviously jinx them, but we'll see. But I'm really looking forward to really expanding this brand now, since we are going to be 3 years old now, and I think it's time.
Yeah.
What legacy do you hope to leave behind, not just in business, but in life, when it's all said and done?
I want people to look to me as a hero. Someone that never gave up, looked at adversity or the cards that he was dealt, and faced it head on. Was a genuine person and woke up with a smile on my face every single day, knowing that something could always be worse. Because I've had those days where I was in the hospital with pneumonia for 16 days, not knowing if I was going to live. I've been on a ventilator twice in my life. Things like that put you into perspective. I want people to look at me and just say, you know what? He gave it his all with everything that he had. And I hope that I can be an influence on the younger generation and even the older generation that just look to me. And anybody that's dealing with something in their life, whether if it's physically or mentally, to be able to say, you know what, I can push through it, because if Eric could do it, why can't I do it?
Right.
What advice can you give athletes out there today?
Consistency. Everybody wants everything now, that instant gratification now. And when they don't get it now, it's like, okay, on to the next thing. On to the next thing. People need to learn how to stay disciplined and work when that newness wears off. When it's hard and those dog days come, and you've done it so many times where it's like, oh, no one really cares what you're doing anymore. Kids still need to have that passion, that drive, and that why. Why are you doing this? I remember having it as a kid. I wanted to be the best football player I could possibly be. And in sports in general, I always wanted to be the best, and I knew I had the physical capabilities because I was always a bigger kid. But I always wanted to say, you can't beat me mentally. You won't be able to beat me mentally. And I just took that attitude towards everything. And I remember being in high school in my sophomore year, and I went through like this period. I'm like, I don't feel like practicing. I'm like tired of going through this. And I remember I rolled my ankle up. I'm like, wow, I'm like, it sucks. Like, this hurts, but I get to miss practice. Well, I still remember I sat there and I missed practice. As I was watching my teammates out there getting better, I don't know what it was in me, but I got so angry. I'm like, my teammates are out there getting better, and I'm sitting here on a bum ankle with ice up, and it did not sit well with me that entire 2 practices that I missed. I was upset with myself. And I think not everyone has, I will say that. And I'm going to start to pat myself on the back, but not everyone has that mindset of being able to, when you're missing out on other people getting better, that it bothers you. But it always bothered me when other people were getting better and I couldn't do it. So that's why in high school, I missed 1 weight room session because I had to go to a math tutor, but I quit I quit basketball and baseball after my freshman year. My mom, I don't know how she did it, but she financed a weight room set for me in my basement when I was in freshman year in high school, so I could still get my football lesson after practice was over, basketball and baseball. And I remember when my friends, they would come lift with me. They lasted 2 weeks. And then I was down there by myself after practice every day. Probably not the smartest thing when you're trying to bench and you got the weight falling on your chest and you got to roll it off to get off. But
Yeah,
I was
been there, done that.
I
That's
was doing all of that.
not a fun feeling.
So yeah, just being able to be consistent. I tell these kids, and do not let the newness fade away. Remember why you started and focus on being the absolute best that you can be.
With what you know now, if you had the opportunity to go back to a younger version of yourself, what advice would you give that version of you?
I don't know. I've lived quite the journey, and I like the mistakes that I made, and I feel like they were all learning opportunities. I guess I would just tell myself, continue to be patient. Life is a long journey of ups and downs with the roller coasters, but be patient with yourself, believe in yourself, and just keep plugging away even when someone tells you that you can't do something. Continue to, be yourself, be genuine, be a good person, a respectable person, no matter who you're talking to, and be patient, and things will come your way over time. Because even me, I wanted things right away sometimes too, but I never lost the work ethic to continue to go get it when I didn't.
Anything else you'd like to leave the viewers, Eric?
I mean, these are, I'm sure a lot of people watching are all local people, so your support to me has been amazing over the years. You guys raised me up from a kid that was born here in Woodbridge and now a 34-year-old grown man. You guys continue to support me. You guys have been a part of my journey along the way, and I can't thank you guys all enough because you guys are my family, and I hope you guys continue to support me as I go forward with my business endeavors with the coffee and the bourbon, but also just in life. Whenever I need something, I know I have my Woodbridge Township Village, and they did so much for me after my injury. They molded me to the man that I am today, and I can't thank them enough.
Well, Eric, we wish you continued success in the ventures that you're on, and we thank you again for having us in your home and allowing us to bring our venture into your facility and giving us an opportunity to speak to you and getting to know you a little bit better. And, and with that, folks, that's episode 17 of Destination Talk with Paz and Harry. Until we see you again.